Hot off the heels of an amazing AEW Double or Nothing, we were given 3 hours of AEW action with Dynamite and Collision. We have new contenders for the World Champion, and the men's Owen Hart Tournament semifinals is set. We're going to be talking about all that and more on today's episode of the All Elite Dirt Sheet.
This is All Elite Dirt Sheet. Hey! Hey! Hey!
Yo, what is up? Welcome to the All Elite Dirt Sheet, your AEW Dynamite and Collision post show. I'm Mike Dinero. I'm here with my co-host TK in the building as always. What is up, man?
Yo, Dinero, what's going on, man? Hope you're having a great day. I'm having a real great day after that phenomenal Dynamite and Collision last night.
Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I'm having a great day, man. I'm glad you are too, and I'm so excited to get right into the action. So if you're ready, let's get right into it, bro.
Oh, man, let's roll. Dude, we had 3 hours and like 20 minutes of action to go through coming off that Double or Nothing killer pay-per-view. So let's get right into it for sure, bro.
Dude, in the last 5 days, we've gotten almost 10 hours of AEW action. Absolutely insane.
And you know, at one point I would say that was overkill, but it's been just nonstop phenomenal. Actually, I can't wait to talk about this show. Like, let me just get into it. This show was just so good, bro, on so many different levels. Like the way we talked about guys for the last and girls for the last like 12, 13 weeks on this show and how they've been building these people. And you really got to see an example of it throughout this 3-hour show last night. I can't wait to talk about all of it.
100%, man. Like you see the difference that pacing makes in the show when you go 3 hours. Definitely a big difference than the last time they went 3 hours. But let's get right into it. AEW Dynamite started out. First of all, we're in Philadelphia, a big wrestling hub. The last time they were in Philly, they were doing the ECW Arena. It's nice to see that they could sell out a bigger venue like they did here. Really cool. That place was jam-packed and ready to rock and roll. We start out by seeing some footage from Sunday, and then we catch up with Will Ospreay from Sunday heading into the trainer's room to see Kenny Omega, just like they did on the show after AEW Dynasty. And this time it's a little different because this time Kenny Omega is not too happy to see Will because he's questioning his decisions by aligning with the Death Riders. And Kenny Omega is basically saying, like, Will, if you wanted help, if you needed some help, you could have asked me, but you didn't. You didn't call me. You went to the Death Riders, who are the guys who injured you in the first place. And Will said, maybe I would have if you were here because you're not showing up. I love that they said that because Kenny Omega hasn't been on TV for a while. So it made sense that they played off of that. And Kenny talks about how, you know, it was heartbreaking when he lost that matchup against MJF and how his mind is not in it right now. He has to get back to the old Kenny Omega. Will Ospreay was like, this is the guy who said that, you know, he's back to 100% and he's ready to go. So why aren't you here? And Kenny was like, look, at the end of the day, you could have called me. We could have helped you out. And then in comes Jon Moxley. Dude, this was like amazing drama, man. This is like pure cinema. Jon Moxley was like, hey, what you guys talking about? And then he was like, oh, good advice, Kenny. We all have skeletons in our closet. Dude, amazing promo. But in the end, as Will Ospreay goes to walk away, Kenny says, listen, just give me a call. Whenever you need, give me a call. And Will tells Kenny, hey, keep your head up. I still believe in you. I still think that you could get to that AEW World Championship. Dude, I instantly wrote down right here, AEW Redemption in Canada. Kenny Omega is going to get that World Championship, and we're probably going to get Kenny versus Ospreay at Wembley. Ah, man, this was just pure cinema. For everyone who says AEW doesn't have good stories, bro, show them this little clip out of a 3-hour show, and they were like, yeah, that goes out the window. What did you think about this?
Dude, it was fucking phenomenal, man. Starting the same way, like you said, as they did after Dynasty. We had thought that they were going to be building towards Ospreay and Omega after Dynasty. What would MJF's involvement be? Then Darby Allin came out of nowhere. We actually won the world title, so that threw a curveball and everything. And now we're coming back to it. It's all coming back full circle. I love the promo. And Ospreay saying, well, how, Kenny? You are never here. How would I go to you? I love that. And Moxley showing up. Listen, Kenny and Moxley have immense history in AEW. I mean, to me, that was like the first real big championship feud for Moxley once he got the belt. then, and that was when Moxley was a face. Moxley was a heel with the Death Riders when they were feuding with the Elite. They had the match, I think, like 3 years ago. Anarchy in the
It goes
Arena.
back all the way to the first ever Double or Nothing. Moxley makes his debut. He takes out Kenny Omega. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot of history there.
Dude, it's so good, man. It's just so good. So yeah, man, getting to see, and then Moxley, just he's everything is his facial expressions, his mannerisms, his little one-liners. It was just phenomenal. And yeah, I do believe that Kenny is going to be involved in the championship match at Redemption. I can't wait for this pay-per-view Redemption. It's in Montreal. It's specifically for Kenny Omega. The last time he wrestled in Montreal, I think, is right before he had his diverticulitis surgery. So, I mean, man, the writing's on the wall for him to get the belt. For him to get the belt back. It's crazy to think that MJF could lose the belts already. I mean, he'll have the one Forbidden Door defense, lose it to Kenny at Redemption. But I don't think that's it for MJF. I think that MJF would also find himself in the title match. And we've talked on this show at length about, their two biggest stars, MJF and Will Ospreay, do it. This is their WrestleMania. Do it WrestleMania style. Two biggest stars, MJF, Ospreay. Dude, you throw Kenny Omega in the mix, man. That's like throwing The Undertaker with Stone Cold and The Rock at WrestleMania. And I'm all for that, dude. Like, just looking at like how these guys were during the Attitude Era is like their starness. Why wouldn't you do it? I'm all for MJF, Omega, Ospreay, but regardless, maybe Omega doesn't get the belt. Maybe Omega fails in his MJF. I don't think so. You can't. If you're doing Omega in Montreal, you got to put the belt on him, you would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I definitely think that Omega is going to be involved somehow at All In, but now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he doesn't win it at Redemption. Maybe there's some type of finish where you keep Omega strong, but MJF goes to All In, faces Will Ospreay wins, and then down the line, maybe World's End, you could end the year with the feud. Well, not the feud, but the story that you've been building up little by little all year with Kenny and Ospreay. But the thing is, Kenny and Ospreay one-on-one, even in front of a stadium like Wembley Stadium, that like I agree, going heel face, like classic big feud into like their WrestleMania style show. But how do you not put that dream match? Even though I know they wrestled before, this is a whole different Kenny. This is a whole different Ospreay. You put them in front of however many people are going to be at Wembley Stadium in the main event. Dude, insane. I am just very excited for everything that they got going right now. It's an insane scenario if you think about it. But I also don't want to see MJF lose the title again. He just got it back. Like, I don't want him to be like,
I was just gonna say, bro, and regardless of how that goes, if Omega gets the belt back in July, that's MJF to Darby to MJF to Kenny to Ospreay, all within, that's 5 title changes, all from what, March to or even April, from April to the end of August. That's a lot of title change. I mean, whatever. If they want to hot potato the world title, we talk about it every week. With the roster this deep, sometimes you can hot potato the title. It's not like they're hot potato in between nobodies. They're hot potato in between like the fucking men in the company. So I don't know. I'm with however they want to do it, man. They got me fucking fully bought in.
As long as they don't go WrestleMania 2000, I believe there's like 20 title reigns in the whole year, which is fucking ridiculous.
That was the fatal 4-way, right?
Yeah.
Fuck it. Fuck the Owen Hart. We'll just have a double DQ at the end of the Owen Hart. Will get Swerve involved with it too. No, I'm just kidding.
So next up, I thought we were going to like wait later on to the show, but we start out with the explanation of Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight comes out here. The crowd is all over him. They're chanting, "Fuck you, Kevin. Shut the fuck up." And any other phrases with the fuck word in there. But Kevin Knight, it seemed like he was a little thrown off at first. Like, this is the first time he's cutting a heel promo. He's a heel for the first time. And it seemed like the crowd was really getting to him. So if I had to give like one little critique, it'd be like, dude, you got to power through that shit. Look at people like, not to talk about the comp, but look at people like Dominic Mysterio gets uber heat and he's able to feed off of that, where it looked like he was getting a little distraught with the crowd, really getting on him. He needs to just power right through that. But besides that, I like this. I did like this. I like this explanation that he told Darby not to let him down, because that would make sense for him to attack Darby after the matchup. It wasn't during the matchup because he wasn't trying to make MJF win. He told Darby not to let him down, not to let the people down. And then on top of that, he said he should have not been sidelined for the pay-per-view because he was the last person to defeat MJF. So why is he not involved in this matchup? Out comes Speedball which, by the way, I had to write it down here, bro. What the fuck was Speedball wearing? Like,
I thought he was in his karate outfit, dude. I didn't know he was like actually in like actual like attire, dude. That was goofy.
Yeah, that was a little strange. But Speedball said, look, I understand why you did this, Kevin. You are young, you're ambitious, and your ambition is your best quality, but you're impatient. And that's why you're making this mistake. You're impatient, and we could fix this if you apologize to Darby, if you apologize to the crowd, and we make this right. You got to own up to what you did. And he put his hand out for Kevin Knight to shake his hand. And Kevin looked like he was going to go for it, right? He gave a little mega power. And then with the shoulder bump, out of nowhere, I thought it was just going to be the shoulder bump, walk away. Out of nowhere, Kevin Knight turns around, then hits him with the microphone, lays him out. And yeah, Kevin Knight is not going to be a tweener. Is not going to be, is he confused? He's 100% a heel. Goodbye, jet speed. Kevin Knight takes out Speedball Mike Bailey. What did you think of this?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was good. I thought Kevin Knight was fine with the promo. You could definitely tell he was, I mean, I'm not going to say shook by the crowd reaction, but I don't think that maybe he thought he was going to get such a crowd reaction that he got. So he was probably like taken aback, like, damn, okay, all right. And that's going to be good because he's going to really feed into that. His explanation's goofy as fuck, though. It really does not make a lick of sense. I mean, Darby Allin just beat him in a world title match a couple weeks ago. Why the fuck would he be in that title match? However, him being on the sidelines and not having a match at Double or Nothing very much so explains the heel turn. I mean, I'm not booked on the show. I'm on the show every week getting win after win after win, and I'm not booked on the show. So I think that was a fine explanation there. The Speedball stuff, I could do without the title match already next week. I think that we could have built to Kevin Knight versus Speedball at Forbidden Door. However, if we get some sort of like shock finish ending where Darby comes out and costs Speedball or costs Knight and Speedball gets the belt next week, I'm totally fine with that. But I don't think you're going to want to take the gold off of Speedball or off of Kevin Knight just yet. So I like Kevin Knight ending Speedball and being done with it. You don't want to flirt around with this. You want to go embrace what you're going to do. And I love the idea of the Knight in the Speedball match. However, I think next week might be a little too soon, especially with the title on the line. What do you think about that?
I definitely think that there's going to be something that happens at the end of the matchup. If you really want to play off this heel character for Kevin Knight, I could see Speedball getting the better of Kevin Knight and then being so close to winning the title that Kevin Knight just like cheats to win, hits him with a low blow, hits him with the belt, and just like walks off like, fuck this. And then you could build up to that. Because I would like to see this at least get, further built on until Forbidden Door, and then have Darby come out at Forbidden Door. I feel like Darby needs at least a couple weeks break, and we were seeing him week in and week out. So give him a couple weeks off, and then have this matchup rematched at Forbidden Door. Darby makes a save, whatever happens there. You could take the title off of Kevin Knight there and continue the feud between Darby and Kevin Knight. Because like you said, I believe on the last episode, you were saying that feud doesn't necessarily need the TNT champion. And we don't need Darby to win the TNT champion again. That would be a bit of a downgrade from going world champion, defending it weekly, to TNT champion. So give the title to Speedball, have this feud with Darby, but I don't think that this is going to be a one and done with Speedball next week by a long shot.
All right, good. No, that's perfect booking right there. And then you have Speedball take the belt off of Kevin Knight at Forbidden. I think Speedball can do great things with that TNT title, dude.
Oh, yeah, me too, for sure. And he's had great matches wrestling against the TNT champions like Kyle Fletcher and Kevin Knight in the past. So we'll definitely love to see what he could do here. Next, we hear from Ricochet, right? I thought this was going to be main event. I was kind of scared it was going to be main event. We hear from Ricochet, and it leads to the matchup where everyone is banned from ringside. Ricochet versus Chris Jericho. Dude, I don't know how you feel, but I'm going to say it. This was a very good matchup. This was a very good matchup. And the matchup I feel was better than their Dynasty matchup. Chris Jericho, dude, he moves amazingly in there. Like, he's moving better now than he did before he left the first time. And he had great chemistry in this match with Ricochet. They both played their part really well. I always love the callback to Chris Jericho putting the walls of Jericho on top of the announce table. I don't know why he does it. It's not like the announce table gives you extra oomph to that move. It's a submission move. But I always thought that was funny. Every time he would like set up the announce table just to put the walls of Jericho on top of it. Really good matchup. I really enjoyed it. In the end, Chris Jericho finally wins. He gets his victory back against Ricochet, and he wins with the lion salt, which looked nasty. It looked like he landed on Ricochet's face, but nasty win. We'll talk about what happened afterwards, but what did you think about the matchup? Did it satisfy you? Because I know we were both saying that we were done with this feud.
It did. It was a good finality of the feud. I thought the match was really good in itself. No outside of interference, no cheating. Ricochet did even slide himself under because it looked like Jericho was going to whip him completely on it. So Ricochet, you see him move himself under it. Yeah, because he moved himself under it, he ate a face full of Jericho. But
I thought the match, Jericho.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the match was a lot of fun, and I'm glad the feud's over, and I'm real glad what happened after the match. Real fresh.
Yeah, talk about it, man.
Yeah, man. So after the match, Jericho's about to celebrate, and out of nowhere, Tommaso Ciampa shows up and attacks Jericho from behind, lays into him, gives him the business, nice beatdown, and that's apparently our next Chris Jericho feud, Ciampa and Jericho. And bro, I'm all for that, man. That feels really fresh. Gives Ciampa something to do. I feel like Jericho elevates Ciampa, and also gives Jericho something to do that's fresh because we said we didn't want him doing anything else with Ricochet. Now moves him on to Ciampa. So I'm quite excited about this feud and the possibility of it being a Forbidden Door match. What about you?
Yeah, I'm very excited for this too. I also wrote down that this is going to definitely elevate Ciampa. I was a little scared last week after Ciampa took the loss to Mark Briscoe that Ciampa's going to get like lost in the shuffle once again. And I was very glad to see this because, like you said, it gives something fresh for Ciampa to do. But, dude, we got to elevate this guy up the card. We saw his matchup with Darby. We saw the matchup he had with Mark Briscoe last week. This guy is a contender for a world title anytime he wants to have it. So having him infused with legends like Chris Jericho is going to get him there. And like you said, something fresh. So I'm definitely very excited for this, for sure.
Oh, yeah, dude. Can't wait for that. Should be, I can't believe I'm saying it, but can't wait for the match. Can't wait for another Jericho match.
Yeah, look at him go. Look at him go. Dude, you know what I'm excited for and I can't wait for? Andrade versus MJF, man. We got Andrade here. He's once again calling out MJF, and he says, MJF, look at you. You are over here, you know, trying to be like the best, but you're not better than a real Latino, man. How do you know? How you know? Dude, I wrote it down here. I've been writing down for fucking weeks. Give me Andrade versus MJF. I definitely think that this is going to happen at Forbidden Door. Yes. I think that all the other contenders we'll talk about in a little bit here, you know, everyone that we saw during the MJF promo and segment, I think that that's going to be the build up to Forbidden Door. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see MJF wrestling every week like Darby did. I think that that's not MJF's character. So to have him have like a few title matches sprinkled here between now and Forbidden Door, but then you get to the big one with Andrade, I think that that's going to be a great matchup. How did you feel about this?
Oh, it's great, dude. I can't wait. Just quick, makes Andrade feel important. Andrade gets a match later on the show. Look forward to that one as well. And it's going to be Andrade and MJF at Forbidden Door. I mean, we've been beating this thing down for weeks. Yeah. And it's going to be Andrade and MJF at Forbidden Door, and it's going to come to fruition. And it should main event the show, barring what else we have on there. But I'd imagine that'll be your main event, unless it's going to be Ospreay and Swerve. This is a pretty fucking big deal, dude. Big deal too.
I wonder like where they fit in like all the New Japan titles and New Japan on this show, because this feels like it should be another just like AEW show with all the feuds that they got going leading into the show. It doesn't feel like there's like promotional wars going on. So I'm very curious to see how they end up booking that show. It might just be a situation where it's like New Japan guys versus New Japan guys and AEW guys versus AEW guys, and they all come together on the same show. But we'll see what happens. Next up, we have a 4-way matchup: Orange Cassidy, RUSH, Brian Cage, and Lio Rush. First thing I put down was Lio Rush and RUSH should form a tag team called Lio RUSH. But dude, really, really fun matchup. Everybody got shine.
I like that.
Cage and RUSH, they were looking like $1 million in there. They were going at it. And dude, I don't know why. It's growing on me, but I love this Lio Rush character. I said a couple weeks ago that like I need to, really think about it. I need some time with it to see how it like develops. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain what the character is, but it just is intriguing, and I love the reaction that the wrestlers give Lio Rush more than what Lio Rush is doing. Cause they're like, yo, what is this guy? Like, what is he doing? When he was entering, like, I love the Orange Cassidy with the sunglasses. He's like, what the hell is happening over here? I also love the fact that like, it seems like nobody sees Lio Rush throughout the day until he's in the match. Cause they're all like, what the hell? Wrestling logic. All 4 men had a lot of shine in this matchup. A lot of good shit happened. During the matchup, though, we had the return of Jake Doyle, which I'm very happy to see him back, man. I was so excited to see him in AEW before he went down with the injury. Jake Doyle, well, first we see Rocky Romero and Lance Archer. They go to attack Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy gets the best of the both of them. And then Jake Doyle attacks Orange Cassidy from behind, which leads to Roderick Strong coming out. We have a big brawl all the way to the back. It looked like Lance Archer was carrying Orange Cassidy like a baby to the back. I don't know why. In the end, though, after a lot of offense from Rush and Lio Rush, Rush wins the matchup and is presumably your number one contender. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But dude, we've been saying it week in and week out. Rush looks like $1 million. And I even said last week, put him against real like competition. Don't put him in these jobber matches. I think they listen, bro. I definitely think they listen. Rush wins this 4-way. What did you think?
Oh, it was a lot of fun, dude. And I just like the eclectic talent in the match, dude. Rush is an animal. Brian Cage being back adds so much to the just overall division of the mid card. Orange Cassidy, a mainstay. And I love Lio Rush, man. Lio Rush before to me when he was wearing the spikes with Action Andretti was very just meh. However, this guy's cool, dude. It's just like wrestling. Yeah. Sometimes just a gimmick stands out. I don't think he's ever going to win a title. But man, he can have himself a place on the lower card for a long time doing something like this and maybe get himself up into the national title picture. But overall, I really enjoyed the match. Dude, there's some real fun spots throughout. All four guys are just immensely talented. Rush, when I saw the match announced, I figured Rush would get the win. They've been building him for weeks. Like you said, they listen. You said put him against real talent. He beats real talent in the match. Jack Doyle being back is awesome. I'm very much so looking forward to the DCF against the conglomeration. And I think we're going to see the different waves of the Don Callis family against the conglomeration. We're starting with the D team on Collision with Roppongi Vice and Archer, and they'll get their shot. And then we'll eventually work our way up to like where Doyle's getting a shot. Maybe Doyle and Cage are teaming with like Clone or something. Like, we're going to get better variations of the Don Callis family against the conglomeration. I look forward to those matches too. But all in all, man, again, we talk about it every week. The roster is so stacked. They throw the tag team matches together. There's random tag matches for money. Fuck, throw a bunch of mid-card guys together and call it a day, dude. I love this shit, dude.
Yeah, it was definitely a great showcase for all four men in this matchup. We see MJF arriving, right? That suit looked amazing, right? We see MJF arrive into the venue, and instantly he walks up to Kevin Knight and he says, "Thank you" to Kevin Knight. And Kevin Knight is like, "Yo, let's not get it twisted. Like, I didn't do this for you because I still plan on taking that title from you and becoming Jet 2 belts." As he turns around, MJF walks off. As he turns around, we see a face-to-face with Fletcher. Bro, Kyle Fletcher versus Kevin Knight would be fucking phenomenal, right? Two very young guys, the future of wrestling. But it looks like we're going to go a different direction. We have Don Callis there, and he says, "Hey, if you're ever serious about becoming Jet 2 belts, you know who to call." Can we see Kevin Knight with the Don Callis family?
Oof, I don't know. I hope not. I don't think Kevin Knight needs it. If Kevin Knight does need, I think we saw it later in the night when he walks by Swerve and Swerve kind of just like smirks. And I don't know if that was on social media or if it was on TV, but Kevin Knight walks by Swerve and Swerve just kind of like chuckles under his breath and goes about his business. I think if anyone was gonna he was gonna be under one's tutelage, I'd like to see him with Swerve, but no, I don't want him with Don Callis, man. I do not want to see that at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. We also hear from the Brawling Birds, and it seems like Alex Windsor is going to draw the parallels between her and her man Billy, her man Will Ospreay, and she said that she too is going to be heading to Wembley and getting her Wembley dream as a champion. Do you think? I hope not. I really hope that the Brawling Birds goes against the tag team for the tag team titles against Divine Dominion. But do you think that there's any possibility that Alex Windsor wins the Owen so she could also get a title shot at Wembley?
Oh, no, not a chance. Alex Windsor is going to lose in the first round to Mercedes next week. However, I do think that Alex Windsor is going to have her Wembley moment when the Brawling Birds get a pint and a title, and then her man wins the world title, and they're all going to really rejoice together. But that'll be her Wembley moment. Maybe a couple of years she gets the women's title or something there. But right now, 2026, tag titles with Jamie Hayter. And I think that's a perfect spot for her.
Love it. Love it. All right, let's talk about this MJF segment. There's a lot to unpack here. MJF comes out. He's carried out on the throne, which was hilarious, right? I think you even, I told you, oh, I'm on the part of the show where MJF is getting carried out on the throne. Really playing up on the celebration of becoming a 3-time world champion by the age of 30. He's over here saying that from the dawn of wrestling, right? If you go all the way back to wrestling that started in the 1800s, there's only been 8 men who've been a 3-time champion by 30 years old, which means that we're all witnessing history here. We are in the greatest era because we're in the era where MJF exists and he wants everybody to bow down to him. And I really like the cockiness that MJF has, right? But out comes Mark Briscoe. Now, I was already thinking that we were going to get Mark Briscoe because a couple minutes before this, we got a pretty extensive Mark Briscoe video package, right? Which showed like his whole history with Jay Briscoe and ROH and then coming over to AEW. And I like this because it's bringing you back to a story that happened last year. Mark Briscoe did get a one-on-one victory over MJF. I believe it was the tables and tax match or something like that at one of the pay-per-views, All Out, or it might have been World's End. I forget, but it was a tables and tax match. Mark Briscoe gets the clean victory over MJF. So he says, like, don't forget that I pinned you and I want a shot at that title. He talks about, you know, how MJF doesn't belong in Philly. Philly is full of tough people who work hard, and MJF is, you know, he doesn't work at all. He's soft. And I love how MJF was like, no, because not only is AEW a sport, but it's also a business. And it's bad enough that we had Darby Allin as the champion. Like, what would this company do if we had you even sniffing the title? So he said, no. MJF goes to walk away. He's up the ramp, and then out comes RUSH. We've been calling it for weeks. RUSH needs a world title shot. And it looks like he's going to get that world title shot. I love what RUSH says here. He says, it's funny that Mark Briscoe is a chicken farmer, but you're just chicken shit. Like, and MJF, I was surprised that MJF made the challenge because MJF said, you know what, you look like $1 million. You have a great look. Me and you one-on-one for the world title next week. I think it would have been better if RUSH made the challenge, because if MJF is playing this chicken shit heel, then why would he go ahead and challenge RUSH? Like, wouldn't he be the type, like, I'm not defending this title to the next pay-per-view? So I like the segment. I like that they're setting up new opponents for MJF with RUSH and with Mark Briscoe. But what did you feel about the way this ended with the match being set for next week?
Yeah, I thought the segment was awesome. I was like, Mark Briscoe? And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that all makes sense. And I mean, I guess he has that top tier or that top upper mid card caliber talent to get that world title shot. So I'm there. I'm with it. RUSH coming out made a whole hell of a lot of sense. I'm glad we didn't set up a RUSH versus Briscoe #1 contender match. I'm glad he's gonna work 2 matches, and I like how they set it up. And I guess you call me chicken shit, fuck it, I'll whoop your ass. So I mean, I don't hate that at all. And at the end of the day, MJF, say what you want about him, but the dude's a fucking unit, and he is a fucking badass, man. He whoops the fucking shit. I'm like, beat Hangman's ass, beat Darby's ass, beat Kenny Omega's ass. I mean, whoever they throw in front of him, he beats their ass, right? He always figures out a way. So it's like, fuck you, RUSH. Fuck it, I'll fight you next week. I'll beat your ass. This guy, though, look at him. He's not a world champion. I'm not giving that fucking guy a world title shot. You look like $1 million. So his like logic behind it, to me, it like made MJF logical sense. So that was cool. So we'll get MJF and RUSH next week, which we've been, they've been building RUSH for how long now towards this match. We thought it would be Darby. We get MJF instead. I'm all in. And then I think Fight for the Fallen will be coming up here in a couple of weeks. So I'd imagine that'll be the spot that Mark Briscoe gets his title match as well. And that'll
be a perfect spot for sure.
Hell yeah. And then we'll get Andrade at Forbidden Door, Kenny at Redemption, and that might be MJF's title reign.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. At the end of the day, if you take out the month of Darby Allin, as champion, you combine it together, it's about like a 6-month title reign. You can't go wrong with that. No. Dude, something that I gotta say is I love what they're doing with Jack Perry lately. Like, Jack Perry went from someone who I really did not care about. Like, I hated the scapegoat character. I did not get it. I understand why they did it, but like, all of a sudden you're like this like weird fucking dude walks around with a goat head. Like, I understand why they did it, but I never liked it. And then when they went back to, Jungle Boy, I was like, all right, like, I like Jurassic Express, but this also feels weird that you did a complete 180 from being the scapegoat character back to, like, didn't make sense. Like, but now I feel like he's really coming to his own. I said that he was one of the MVPs at Stadium Stampede. I love what they're doing with the actual Jurassic Express bus. And with this vignette that we've seen Jack Perry training like Rocky, running up the steps, running from the butt, like, dude, Jack Perry right now is one of the true highlights of this show. What did you think about the segment of him training like Rocky for his match against Mark Davis later tonight?
Oh, it's hilarious, dude. And getting Luchasaurus back on TV is great. These guys have this like comedy niche about them as well, which I find good. And then he looks like a badass too, always carrying around his knife and fucking stabbing shit. So no, I'm with Jack Perry. He did look he looked lost, dude. And let's be real, he's still young. right? And I'm sure the social media shit with the fallout of CM Punk really did affect his mentals.
Yeah.
He got shipped away to New Japan for a year because Tony Khan probably actually made, whether he did or not, he was the scapegoat of the situation, and it was an awkward character. The elite thing never really took off to me when he was playing that role as a heel. Now I love Jungle Jack. He's not, like you said, he's not Jungle Boy, he's not Jack Perry, he's Jungle Jack. I think Jungle Jack's fucking awesome, dude. And he's, again, like you said, he's really coming into his own as a character.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Let's talk about the Owen Hart Foundation quarterfinals. We got the first matchup of the night. We have Claudio Castagnoli versus Brody King. This matchup was just between two hosses, two heavy hitters, and bro, they beat the crap out of each other. We did predict the winner. We said that it's probably going to be Brody King versus Swerve, which is what we're going to end up getting. But dude, Brody and Claudio have such great chemistry with each other, and there's so many hard-hitting guys like this. Like, you throw in Jake Doyle, you throw in Brian Cage, you throw in Mark Davis. Like, they have a good set of just big, hard-hitting, like, motherfuckers. And this was a great, great matchup. Brody King wins the matchup. Dude, the way he ate that pop-up uppercut was insane. Hits him with a massive clothesline afterwards. Dude, love this matchup. It was short, it was sweet, and it was just hard-hitting as hell. Brody King going on to the semifinals. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought the match was good. I guess I was a little disappointed just with the ending. The ending kind of fell flat to me. And maybe it's just because Brody didn't connect all the way with the clothesline. I feel like Brody connected with the clothesline right after the pop-up uppercut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, like, and then Claudio knocked the fuck out of him with that pop-up uppercut, dude. Yeah. And I was like, damn. And I thought he was going to go for, like, the fucking neutralizer or something. But instead, they both are like, you know, I mean, obviously it's tough to hit a move like that on a guy that big. So Claudio's rocked, and then for Brody to fall into the clothesline. The problem with that to me was that Brody didn't hit that clothesline with a lot of heat. So I was like, the ending felt real flat to me. I was just like, oh, that was it. But the match itself, you know, it was quality. Definitely the weakest of the 4 Owen Hart tournament matches, and definitely the weaker of the 2 Owen Hart matches of the night. However, you know, 2 big guys slapping meat, I'm always down for. So if it had ended any other way than the weak clothesline, I wouldn't be talking the way I'm talking right now. But I just wasn't so big on, like, the veracity behind that clothesline. But Brody was probably tired, and he just got the shit knocked out of him by that uppercut. So, I mean, I understand, you know.
No, for sure. But I totally understand where you're coming from, too. Next up, we have Copeland and Cage, the new AEW Tag Team Champions. They come out here, and they're going to be doing a 5-second pose, just like the classic Edge and Christian, right? I love the fact that Cage is still not with the shits. He was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But even before this, though, I love, like, the promo that Cage cut, how he said that FTR, they are the toughest tag team they ever been in the ring with. And he said that, you know, you guys are exactly what you say you are. You're top guys, but you're not tippy top guys. And he puts up the title. Like, that was a great moment. Yeah, and then you have Cage saying, like, I'm not doing no 5-second pose, right? I love the whole fact that you have Comedy Copeland come out, and he has the sack. He throws in the disposable cameras, which I haven't seen since the fucking 90s, right? He has the disposable cameras. They take the time to distribute all the cameras, and then before they can even go into a pose, they get attacked by the dogs. And I don't know what the dogs have done to warrant themselves a tag team title matchup. They lose almost every time we see them. They're always, every time they're in these, like, multi-man matches, they're the ones taking the pin. But I'm not mad at it because it's something fresh for the dogs. It's something fresh for Cope and Cage. I wanted them to have, I'm sure they're going to go back to the FTR feud, but I wanted them to at least have some separation, like work with other teams, especially if you're going to have a short tag team title run. So work with other teams, and this just fits. The action that I'm expecting to see from these guys are going to be insane. But what we saw here was just nasty, man. The way that Finley and Connors went after that injured arm from Cage, hitting it with the shillelagh, putting it under the steel steps, and then Connors hit that double stomp onto the steps. There's no way you could fake that shit, right? There's no way. The shillelagh, you could kind of get away with it. Not when you put the steps on the arm and then you double stomp the steps. Like, I know you have a brace there, but how much is that brace really holding if you have some guy who's like 200, pounds doing a double stomp onto steel steps? Insane. I thought it was a little goofy that they went for the 5-second pose themselves, right? I thought they should have just took them out, looked like badasses, and then walked away. But you're showing more of a personality side for the dogs too, so I'm not mad at it. But this was just a crazy beatdown. Connors with another big spear. He took out Bobby Lashley on Sunday. A big spear here on Copeland. Dude, if this is going to be the feud that we're getting going into Forbidden Door, I'm all for it.
Oh, it was great, dude. The whole segment was great. Cage right when he gets the mic telling the crowd, "You guys need to shut up, you worthless." And then Cope's like, no. Why? What are you doing? They love us. Oh, all right, whatever. And Cope kind of reminds me of Mick Foley back when Mick Foley was like heading out towards retirement, when he was done like doing all the big matches. Just like his overall like demeanor, character, just like really just enjoying himself out there. And you love to see it.
Kind of like Mick Foley when he was feuding with Edge, right?
Dude, yes. That's exactly who he reminds me of. Yep. And these guys remind me a lot of Edge, that's a great comparison right there. So, and they're just so vicious. They're so vicious. They're so fun. They're so entertaining. I love that they did the 5-second pose. It looked like Clark Connors was taking a piss on both of them because he's pissing on everything all the time. That's what these guys fucking do. They are so entertaining, bro. Yep. But they're vicious as fuck. And I do like it because they were both teams were part of that 10-man match, the Super Crazy Slobberknocker weekly match that a couple of weeks ago. So, they started a little beef there. And what I really like about this is this. It's very similar to what they're doing with Ciampa and Jericho. So I think that we can get some like dogs with Ciampa against Cope, Cage, and Jericho. Just a lot of throwbacks between those three guys there. I think that would just be a fun trios match to have on a Dynamite 1 week. A lot of star power. And then you can even put the younger guys over, let them get the win. But I like it, dude. A lot of depth in that tag team division. Dogs do lose a lot, but that's okay because every time they lose, they look like motherfucking badasses, dude. So I'm looking forward to this match. I don't know if it goes all over. We get it at Forbidden Door. These matches, like I said, Jericho and Ciampa, and these matches and the Dogs and Cope and Cage are going to be like Dynamite matches. But if we're building these to Forbidden Door, I definitely want to see a trios match between these 6 guys.
Hell yeah, man. Especially if there's any chance of Canada being a spot that they hit before they get to Forbidden Door, you hit the Canadian trio in there. Hell yeah, man. That'd be awesome. Something that I did not like on the show, and it's always great to see Prince Nana and Swerve, but something that I did not like was this promo by Swerve Strickland where he's talking about his semifinal matchup against Brody King. Like, I understand where he was going for. It just kind of made no sense to me. Like, he's over here saying, like, I'm going to make money with you. Like, conflict creates cash, and I'm gonna make a lot of cash with you. Like, is there nothing better to say? Like, hey, I beat you before. I already proved I'm the most dangerous. I'm gonna take you out. You could have done anything else, but I'm gonna make a lot of cash with you because conflict creates cash. Like, it's kind of weak, no?
And the fact that he didn't bring up, I don't think he brought this up before during their feud, but he said that he's the one who brought Brody into wrestling, and now he can take him out. And I was just like, damn, didn't they just have like 2 matches? And none of this shit was brought up before. Yeah. But that's kind of the problem with going back to the well with all these matches. But this one in particular, I'm excited to see Swerve and Brody. I just think it's another, what does it do for Brody? Like, at the end of the day, I kind of almost would have rather seen Claudio go over. So then Swerve, like it's how I would have booked it. Claudio beats Brody, and then Claudio loses to Swerve. And then Ospreay beats Swerve. Swerve gets pissed off. Then we get Swerve and Moxley at Forbidden Door. And then because Swerve been fucking with the Death Riders now for the last, couple of months or whatever. But, all in all, I look forward to seeing Swerve and Brody. But what does that do for Brody when it's all said and done? Brody loses yet another big match. I mean, where does Brody go after this one now?
Yeah, if he loses, I would say at this point, turn him heel. Like, please give me something different with Brody. Brody could be a hellacious heel who just takes out everybody, in front of him. So I definitely think that, it's going to be a great matchup. I didn't like this promo too much because, like I said, it felt a little forced. Like, we have to have Swerve say something. He has to be on the show somehow, right? So let's put him out there and just say something. But the matchup is going to be great. But yeah, it's not doing any favors to Brody at all. So do something different with him. Maybe you after the matchup you have Bandito try to like console him and he just takes out Bandito and then you have that feud, right? I would do something like that. Yeah, we don't need Brodito to be a lifer team. Like it was fun when it lasted, but it doesn't need to be like, oh, these guys got to be together for life. Like
Brody and Bandito at Forbidden Door, Brody and Bandito at Redemption. That's sick, dude. And also Buddy Matthews is healthy. He just returned to that Australian show. Maybe Buddy can come back and cost Brody during the match with Swerve. I don't know. You can do interference in this tournament, right?
Yeah, and this one you could.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe Buddy Matthews comes back and costs Brody next week. That's also an option too. But Brody's gotta start winning some of these things. Brody's gotta be in.
Yeah.
We got 4 mid-card titles in this company. I mean, Brody should have already had one of these titles. We gotta figure out a way to get him a belt on this guy sooner than later.
Yeah, for sure. Next match we have Ty Mello and Anna J, Ty J, going up against Allie Katch and Ava Everett, whatever, right? Unfortunately, she's not on the roster, but a quick little fun matchup. Ty J gets the victory. Really cool to see Allie Katch. Big fan of hers from the Indies and what she's done with GCW. Awesome matchup during WrestleMania weekend with Effie. That was really cool to see her, and hopefully she gets signed because I think that she would be another cool member of the AEW women's roster. But they're continuing to build Ty Mello up. Anything about this matchup? Just a cool little showcase.
Hey man, anytime Ty Mello is on my screen, TK is a happy man. All right, more Ty Mello.
I feel
it was good. The girls, they look good. I love Ty J, so it's good that they're the OG tag team. I thought like they could have put the tag team titles on the OG tag team, and damn, since they introduced these tag titles, the OG tag team has been heavily disrespected. So it's nice to see them back involved in the tag team picture.
Yep. We hear from Speedball, who still hasn't taken off his karate outfit, like you said. Speedball says that he wants to go one-on-one with Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight showed his true colors, and the matchup is signed for next week. We talked about like what we think is going to happen next week, but I like to see that fire from Speedball because Speedball seems like he's always cool, calm, collected, like wanting with peace and all that. And I like to see that fire, like bring out this side of Speedball. When you show a more aggressive side of Speedball, I think this is a Speedball that could take the TNT title and actually run with it.
Yeah, man. I love Speedball, dude. I think Speedball is just so talented. I saw Speedball at a Warrior Wrestling show wrestle Mike Santana. See, this is crazy. This is how the indies work, man. I saw Speedball wrestling Mike Santana like 4 years ago. Shit was like almost COVID time, dude. That's how long ago this was. He put out just a fucking 20-minute banger, dude. Now look at these guys. TNA World Champion. This guy we're talking about should be TNT Champion. Wrestling Darby Allin for the world title a couple of weeks ago. Like, man, I love it. I love Speedball. I want him to be the TNT champion. I legitimately want him to beat Kevin Knight for this belt.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you, dude. It's great when you see like an indie wrestler like on the small scene and then work their way up to TV and getting title shots. I love it. Yeah, let's talk about the second Owen Hart quarterfinal matchup, dude. We got Jack Perry, Mark Davis. Every time these guys get into the ring with each other, I believe this is like the third time in the last 2 months they have magic with each other. This was a great matchup. At one point, Mark Davis knocked Jack Perry right out of his shoes. Jack Perry's not in his wrestling attire. He's wearing this like highlighter yellow pants and just sneakers. By the way, I wrote down that the pants make Jack Perry look like Sick Nick Mondo. I don't know if you remember Sick Nick from CZW.
No. That's fucking rough.
Or if you know, it's a real like deep cut, right? He looks like Sick Nick Mondo. Really fun matchup though. Mark Davis gets the victory, but this is exactly what it needed to be. We had a lot of crazy spots here. Jack Perry hitting the top rope avalanche DDT was sick. I believe this was technically the Dynamite main event. We're not going to do what we did last week where we grade Dynamite and then grade Collision because this felt like more of a coherent show. So we'll grade the whole thing. But this was a very good matchup. And in the end, before we get into the aftermath of what happened afterwards, what did you think about this matchup and Davis going on to the semifinals?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I was like sold a little bit during the match that it might be Jungle Jack and we might get Jack Perry taking on Will Ospreay, which that was intriguing to me. I think that those two would put on an absolute banger. But like Will Ospreay says a little bit later, he needs to get his win back over Mark Davis. He wrestled him when he was injured. That was the story. They threw a towel in, during the match. The match got cut short. This match was phenomenal, dude. Mark Davis, every single time he is in that ring, performs. He is getting cut up like a motherfucker, dude. Dude looks great. These guys have immense chemistry. Jack Perry's phenomenal, man. But Mark, the right guy did get the win. Ospreay and Davis, Swerve and Brody, man, these are fucking some banger semifinal matches. And those guys, Davis and Brody, now that would be a fun national title match down the road. So that I could fuck with as well.
Yeah, you want to talk about house matches and just heavy hitters? Hell yeah. But after this, we have Don Callis come into the ring, and he not only congratulates Mark Davis, he says that Mark Davis is going to take out Will Ospreay, who, when Will Ospreay was in the Don Callis family, he thought that he was the chosen one. But he said he was never the chosen one because the chosen one has always been and will always forever be in the Don Callis family, Kyle Fletcher, which leads to Kyle Fletcher coming out. He's here to give his explanation on why he took out Takeshita. Kyle Fletcher basically said that Takeshita is a selfish prick. he said that he's been trying to drive a wedge between him and the Don Callis family. And he's not grateful to Don Callis, the guy who's basically was his bread ticket in AEW. And that this is why that he did exactly what he did at the pay-per-view. Out comes Konosuke Takeshita with the conglomeration, which I actually like. You know, putting this guy with people like Roderick Strong, and it doesn't have to be him in the conglomeration. It could be, you know, a loose association with the conglomeration, him just getting backup. And like you said, we are going to get the trios titles matchup at Collision this Saturday. So I like this, you know, little tangent that they have. And Konosuke Takeshita grabs the mic and he says that now that he has his title back, now he wants Kyle Fletcher. Dude, sign me up. Put that right in my fucking veins, man. Fletcher versus Takeshita. I'm all for it. What did you think about the explanation and then Takeshita coming out?
Oh, dude, it made a ton of sense. I mean, Takeshita has been the one trying to say, you know, Kyle, let's leave. Kyle, let's leave. Yeah, fuck it. What I will tell you is that there were two explanations for heel turns. Fletcher's been the biggest fucking heel in the company for how long, but for why they did what they did on Sunday at the pay-per-view. And Kyle Fletcher put on a clinic compared to what Kevin Knight did earlier in the night. Like, he showed Kevin Knight how you fucking cut a ruthless promo. But again, he's been doing this now for 2+ years, and
he's comfortable.
When he started,
and
when he started 2 years ago, he was very shaky with it. And now look at him. I can only imagine Kevin Knight 2 years into this role, what he'll be doing. So, but Kyle Fletcher was so dominant with the way he was speaking on the mic. He fucking owned the crowd. He owned the mic. He owned the ring. He owned Takeshita. Takeshita coming out with the conglomeration, I'm cool with. It's funny. So Takeshita in New Japan just joined Hantai, which is just, if you don't watch the New Japan, it's just like a collection of baby faces, basically, like a bunch of baby faces who aren't affiliated into a group. And Takeshita recently joined them. And if you think about what the conglomeration is, I mean, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, Roddy, Kyle, I mean, Willow, Ishii. These guys are literally hologram. These guys are literally just fucking a conglomeration, a hentai of baby faces thrown together. So Takeshita loosely having their back and them having his back in AEW does make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Takeshita and Fletcher, man. Fucking, I don't know. I want to save for Owen. I guess we have to save everything for Owen. We can do big matches elsewhere, right? So I guess Forbidden Door, Takeshita Fletcher, but who loses? Fletcher can't take a clean loss. I mean, Takeshita doesn't really need this belt. So it is a way to transition to go Okada, Takeshita Fletcher. It is a way to elevate Fletcher from the TBS champion or the TNT championship to the international title. Takeshita does not need the belt. He does not need a long. So maybe they cheat him out of it. And then Takeshita chases. Maybe Takeshita gets it back at All In. They're hot potato in a lot of these belts, and I'm with it, dude. I like title changes. I love title changes. So
yeah, I think I said it. Well, this was a while ago when Darby Allin won the title from MJF. I said that you could hot potato a belt, but it's not always a negative. If you're doing it in the right situation, it makes sense. Then it's actually a very effective piece of a story that you could tell by, the transitional champion, where some people look at that as like, as soon as you have a champion, if they lose the belt, like next week, it's like, oh, why are they doing this? It's like, it could play a big role in the title, like story. Look at what they did with Darby. That was a big story that they told with that. And it ended up working out. So like, I'm not mad at that either. I like that idea of Takeshita being the transitional champion to get the title off of Okada and then back onto Fletcher. That would be really cool. I like that.
Nice. Yeah, I think it would be fun for Fletcher particularly, because I mean he's world champion in no time. So let's make this his last belt and then kind of go from there. But yeah, I really enjoyed this whole segment, man. The match into the segment, the lead the end of Dynamite into the start of Collision made a lot of fucking sense.
Most definitely. I really liked the next segment. We had Will Ospreay. We hear from him and he's talking about how it's official. He's going to be going against Mark Davis. Last time he went against Mark Davis, he was not 100%. And it was the only matchup in his career that had to be stopped due to referee stoppage because of the doctor. He said this time he is 100%. He's going to not only get that win back, but he's going to continue all the way to the finals of the Owen Hart. He then is there with Moxley and Pac and Marina, and they're getting ready for their matchup against the Rascals. He's like, all hyped. He gives a fist bump to Moxley. He goes to give a fist bump to Pac. Pac refuses. Marina steps in and gives him the fist bump. He's like, thank you, sweetheart. I love that they're playing off that Pac still is not going to be friends with Ospreay. A lot of history with Pac and Ospreay. And then when they get ready for their matchup, they start going to the back. And he's like, hey, guys, my entrance is this way because they're going to be going through the crowd. I love the dynamic that they're doing with Ospreay and the Death Riders. It's still very, it has some comical elements to it, but it's a very serious story. And this leads to the trios matchup between Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, Impact versus the Rascals. Dude, amazing matchup. I love the fact that this is the first time we actually see Ospreay and the Death Riders in a matchup together, because there's been a lot of training Ospreay, but we haven't seen them tag with each other. So it's the first time we see that. Great to see the Rascals as well. I think that the Rascals are uber talented, and this was just phenomenal action here, and the big victory for Ospreay and the Death Riders. What did you think about the segment and the matchup?
Oh, the segment was great, dude. That was my biggest. Ospreay is just having so much fun, dude, with this. And
you could tell.
I think I texted you this during it was either during the segment or after the show, but this storyline, whoever the fuck came up with this Death Rider Ospreay storyline, man, this shit is fucking prime, man.
Yeah.
Prime, like, it's every week it gets better. Every week, and the dimensions each and every week that's added to it. The Ospreay and Pac stuff, to me, I was laughing my ass off, dude. Pac just looks at him like, get the fuck off, dude.
Move your fucking hand away. I ain't touching that.
Yeah, he's like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. And then Ospreay went his own way. The Death Riders came their own way. The match itself was awesome. The Rascals are so talented, dude. I'd love to see them as trios champs maybe a year from now. Let the fans keep getting used to them. Yeah. Myron Reed is just a fucking stud, dude. Obviously, a lot of people know a lot about the other two because they were in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Myron Reed, though, might be the best of the three of them. Zach Wentz, he annoys the shit out of me. But that kid is immensely talented, man. And Desmond Xavier is so good. So those three guys, I expect big things in the future for them. But the Death Riders look good, fluid together. Ospreay looked real good with these guys. After the match, he did end up getting, I think it was a fist bump or a handshake and a fist bump from Pac.
Mm-hmm.
All their hands were raised together. They look good, man. Marina outside holding the title belt up for Moxley. These guys are a unit. They're the most entertaining part of the show to me. They are so fucking good.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. Like you said, whoever's writing that story, give them a raise. Unless it is Tony Khan, then kudos. I don't know if you could give yourself a raise, but kudos. We hear from the Ops, and this was very upsetting to me because I wanted to see the Ops continue this feud with the Death Riders. I thought that there was a lot of legs on this feud with the Ops and the Death Riders, and maybe there still is, just without Samoa Joe, because Samoa Joe did announce that duty calls again. He's going to be going back to Hollywood for a couple weeks, so he's expecting Hook to hold it down. He's expecting Shibata and Bowens to hold it down. But I guess we're going to go right back to Hook as the leader of the Ops until Joe comes back. But the thing is, when Joe is there, the Ops are on TV. When Joe is there, the Ops are in main stories. And when Hook is there as the leader, he's just recruiting and he got Bowens. And then when it was like, all right, what now? So I hope that if you're going to keep this feud, keep them strong, keep them on TV, see what we could do with the Ops without Samoa Joe, because it would be a shame to people like Hook, Bowens, and Shibata, of all people, that, hey, they're only around when Joe's around. If Joe's going, let them, go for the trios titles. Let them go against the different members of the Death Riders. What do you think is next for the Ops? And do you think that they are kind of pigeonholed by Samoa Joe? That, hey, whatever Samoa Joe's schedule is what we'll do with the Ops?
There's such a stronger unit with Samoa Joe. It's not even comparable. However, I do kind of like that Samoa Joe is more like a novelty act now. So when he's around, he feels really fucking important. He's in world title matches pretty much every time he's around. So he feels like a real big deal. And ultimately that makes the Ops feel like they need a fourth guy. I know they just added Bowens, but they need another member. I'm not exactly sure who that other member would be to really think about the roster, but they need another real big, strong, powerful guy added to their ranks.
And they had Hobbs, like that would.
I was even thinking like Wardlow. If Wardlow came back and wasn't with the Don Callis family, if Wardlow just joined the Ops instead. Because I'm trying to think of like another there
is history with Wardlow and Joe too. Remember they were was it Wardlow for a little bit? So that would make sense if he gets a call from Joe and he's like, "Yo, I just got the new member. Like he's joining you next week, whatever." And it's Wardlow. That'd be cool.
And Wardlow leaving Hollywood, where Joe's just coming from. So he just did a Gladiator. So I mean that could kind of work too. Or even someone like Camille or something, right? Like just like giving them like something, an extra addition, like some more beef behind them, because. I don't know. Something about Hook just is the leader. Just like it just isn't there. But what I would do with them, bro, is I would have the Ops feud with the Bang Bang Gang which ultimately would lead to a 5. I would add a new member to them, and I would have, you got the Bang Bang, you got the 4 ops without Joe. Then I would have Jay White come back, and I would have Samoa Joe come back, and I'd have like a 5-on-5 between the Samoa Joe led ops against the Jay White led Bang Bang gang.
I love that. But I also like the fact that if they did add someone like Camille, like you could continue the feud with the Death Riders and then throw Marina in there too. Have Camille, Marina, the guys, like it would be really cool to do like the mixed tag matches that they could do. Speaking of women though, Ty J, they got attacked by Divine Dominion. Dude, how is Megan Bayne attacking anybody wearing that dress? Like, I don't know. Like, but Ty J is just taken now, and it's going to lead to the matchup next week. But we're continuing to build this feud. So I thought we were supposed to see the Divine Dominion matchup on Collision. Instead, they said it didn't even last 5 minutes back here. So I like that this is a way that they wrote the matchup off. It's not going to happen, but they still had a segment that showed that they're building towards what's next for them. We have that matchup next week. Anything about that matchup?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're finally going to see a team beat the 5 minutes. Bane and Cross looked great. Divine Dominion looked awesome. I'm looking forward to Collision. Should be solid.
Most definitely. All right, dude. We have the wrestling main event because the last matchup was unsanctioned. We have the wrestling main event. It is Ace Austin versus Andrade El Idolo. Really good matchup. I love that they continue to give Ace Austin spots on the show and he's able to shine, which is also really cool. Like if they continue to do 3-hour shows like this, where you have more of those people who are just on the cusp, you could continue to showcase them as they grow and build. But Andrade El Idolo looks like $1 million going into what we presume is going to be his matchup with MJF at Forbidden Door. What did you think about this match?
All right. So earlier I hit on how they've been putting these guys out, building these guys over the last couple of months, and they were all on the show. Ace Austin's one of those guys who's looked like $1 million. He gets listen, I don't care that the match was only 4 minutes. He served the purpose. He's going to fucking wrestle the guy. He wrestled the guy wrestling for the world title coming up here soon. Ace Austin, Rush, you're building Rush. Leo Rush, these little small roles, but these guys are all making screen time, dude. Kevin Knight and Speedball. All these guys are such parts of the show now and being utilized in this 3-hour show. Andrade, I'm loving it, dude. And I love this match. I love what I saw from Ace Austin. I want the Bang Bang gang to do more, just like I want the Rascals to do more. But again, I understand that the TV time is so minimal because this roster is so stacked. So I love the 4 minutes is 4 minutes. Good screen time, and the kid looked real good in those 4 minutes.
Most definitely. I totally agree with everything you just said. Let's talk about the actual main event. The main event of this 3 hours was a unsanctioned Philly Street Fight Lights Out matchup, which is a mouthful. Hikaru Shida versus Kris Statlander. This was an amazing way to end the show. It went I think 15, 20 minutes after the show was supposed to end anyway, right? But I was not caring because when you have a matchup this fun, this good, that's exactly what happens. You just get lost in the time. Bro, for everything that I've been saying about not caring about this feud, I love the blow off. This was a great matchup. A lot of crazy, insane spots here. It was a lights out matchup. So I'm not expecting to just see, tables, ladders, and chairs, and then that's it. Like we saw everything from bicycles. We saw them fight to the back, and Shida hit a big suplex onto the guardrail. We've seen a lot of kendo stick work, which we'll talk about afterwards with Statlander breaking the kendo stick and stabbing Shida. But we saw a bundle of light tubes. AEW gets a little hardcore with those light tubes. I love it, man. But it's crazy to see like the women with the light tubes. I think we've seen that one time before with Willow, and I believe it was against Statlander, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Statlander likes her light tubes, but just an insane matchup. Like Statlander's back was just all bloody and bruised from the light tube spot. Statlander hits the Saturday Night Fever onto the table and then brings her into the ring. Harley Cameron comes out, and I was so scared. I was like, oh, man, if Harley turns here, like, I don't mind a heel Harley. I thought heel Harley was very fun when she was a heel and she was teaming up with Saraya. I thought that was a really cool spot for her. But I love what they're doing right now. Continue to build her up. She hands Stat the, I don't know if it's bedazzled kendo stick that Shida walks around with, and Stat nails her with that, hits another Saturday Night Fever, and then gets the victory. 1, 2, 3. Kris Statlander looks like $1 million, and Hikaru Shida did amazing this matchup as well, and an amazing way to end what was a 3-hour Dynamite Collision show.
Oh man, it was so good. This match was awesome. I was surprised we were getting this match so soon. I thought we were going to build to this coming off a Double or Nothing, but lights out match. I mean, Tony was like, fuck it. We're getting to the point. We're ending this shit. And it was awesome. Yeah, Harley not turning was ideal. Harley should be the one to win whatever ladder match or tournament that they do for the TBS championship. That should all be Harley Cameron. But this match was awesome. They both look really good. Shida looked really good. Stats in her element in these matches. I'm intrigued to see where we go from there. I imagine that they're all going to be in that mix for the TBS championship in whatever capacity that they do. Maybe it comes down to Harley versus Stat, and Harley gets the upset for it. And I think that's probably how I'd go about writing it. But all in all, this was a really fun way to end a really awesome 3 hours and 20 minutes of wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. They did announce some matches next week. Next week's Dynamite looks absolutely stacked. But for Collision, like we said, we got the 5-minute challenge, Ty J versus Divine Dominion. We find out what's going to actually happen and what's the fate of the TBS champion. And we got the Don Callis family versus the conglomeration for the trios titles. Why there's a Collision on Saturday when we had Collision right now, I don't know. But definitely, it looks like it's starting to shape up to be a pretty fun show. And then for Dynamite, bro, Dynamite next week is a little mini pay-per-view, bro. We have Alex Windsor versus the Wild Card. Like you said, I agree. It's probably going to be Mercedes Moné making her return. So that already in itself is a big moment. We have Ospreay versus Mark Davis in the semifinals of the Owen Hart Men's Tournament. We have Speedball versus Kevin Knight for the TNT title. And then in the main event, we have MJF versus RUSH for the world title. Bro, that is a mini pay-per-view. The fact that they are continuing week in and week out. You put out a show like Double or Nothing, or people are considering it, one of the greatest shows that AEW ever put on. And then you have an amazing 3-hour show a couple days later, and then you have a pay-per-view style show a week after that. Insane. So anything on next week's Dynamite?
Yeah, it's gonna fucking rock, dude. 4 bangers already announced. MJF and RUSH, like you said, Speedball and Kevin Knight, Ospreay and Davis, man, and then the return of Mercedes. Cannot wait. I'm sure he's gonna add a lot more. And Collision should be good too, man. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Coming off a banging show. This was a real good show tonight. Yeah,
I probably should have did this before I started talking about next week. But what is your ratings for the Dynamite and Collision 3-hour show that we just saw?
Oh, dude, it was this was phenomenal. We talked the last couple times they did a 3-hour show that you just can't do these 3-hour shows. They're way too long, especially with an overrun in the 3rd hour. It's crazy, almost 3.5 hours. However, if you structure it this way, it's fucking perfect, man. The show was phenomenal from start to finish. We didn't do that goofy ass main event Dynamite and then restart into Collision. No, it was just a smooth sailing show from start to finish. We saw it was just very well balanced, very well paced show. I'm gonna give the show a solid 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, man, that's exactly where I'm at too. I have it written here. Like I swear I'm not copying your homework. It's 4.5 out of 5 too. I think that for everything that we said that we hated the 3 hours last week, they definitely improved this week. Pacing of the show was great. They were able to spread the wealth and have some of the big matches, not only on the Dynamite, but on the Collision. And to be honest, I can't believe I'm saying this because I've been very adamant for many years that I hate 3-hour wrestling. I hated it when Raw was 3 hours. I hated that SmackDown's 3 hours. But AEW kind of feels if they do shows like this, that they need that 3rd hour because there's so many people on that roster that don't get showcased that you see when they have that 3 hours like they did today. You let things breathe. Segments like with promos have more time to really cook, and you could put out more people on the show that you could start elevating your younger talent or your mid-carders to get to the next level, like we've seen Ace Austin, Lio Rush, etc. So with that being said, 4 out of 5, I would not be opposed to a 3-hour Dynamite weekly if they continue to do it like this because it definitely elevates everybody on that card. With that being said, I got nothing else to say. Like that's pretty much it. I think that this was a phenomenal show, but I have more of a phenomenal time every week with you, bro.
Hell yeah, bro. It's been a blast, dude. And I'm so pumped to be doing this with you every week. I'm pumped that we're here now on our All Elite Dirt Sheet YouTube. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in. We got a TikTok as well. So we got over to our TikTok. We're going to have shorts over there. We're going to have shorts over here on YouTube. We're going to have some fantasy booking coming soon, man. We're going to have our brand split draft release real soon. So keep rocking with us, bro. I'm going to keep rocking with you. I've been having a fucking blast with you, dude. And I mean, Tony Khan must be listening to us because he keeps putting everything that we're suggesting. He keeps doing so. Let him keep listening to the dirt sheet.
Most definitely. I mean, one could hope. But yeah, I have a blast with you too, man. Like this has been an awesome journey, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger from here. So thank you for all you do. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Everyone hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Follow the TikTok, All Elite Dirt Sheet. We love you all. Thank you so much. We'll catch you with a new episode of the rest of the All Elite Dirt Sheet next week. Peace.
Bam.